indeed stolen out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also I have done nothing that I should be put into the pit. Genesis 40:19-22. This is the second interpretation. In 3 days, Pharaoh will lift your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat the flesh from you. So here we can hear Joseph saying, okay, the cupbearer is being restored to power, but the baker is going to be beheaded. On the third day, which was the Pharaoh's birthday, he made a feast for all his servants and lifted up the head of the chief cupbearer and the head of the chief baker among his servants. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position, and he placed the cup in the Pharaoh's hand, but he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Huffington Post, I thought I would bring this up. This is why you get to celebrate your birthday every year. What you read in Genesis about the Pharaoh's birthday is the first birthday ever recorded in history. When the pharaohs were crowned in ancient Egypt, they were considered to have transformed into gods. This divine promotion made their coronation date much more important than their birth into the world. Scholars have pointed out the Bible's reference of a pharaoh's birthday as the earliest known mention of a birthday celebration around 3000 BC. So here we can see what we're reading here having to do with the baker baking a cake for the pharaoh. That is the first birthday ever mentioned in history. Egyptologist Dr. James Hoffmeyer believes that this is referencing the subject's coronation date, since that would have been the pharaoh's birth as a god. So this argument is that this wasn't actually the birthday of the pharaoh in regards to the day he was born. This was the pharaoh being birthed into a deity. And remember, when we see this word Baal and we see the word Heliopolis and On, we did these studies actually during the Sabbath, and we can start to see here all this overlap with this idea of people in this area of the world had thought that they could deify themselves. They could become God somehow. This is some of the opinions on the early church and birthdays. I thought I'd bring it up because, of course, a lot of people ask the question of how come we don't see Jesus' birthday or the apostles' birthday or any of the disciples in the Bible? This is from the Catholic Encyclopedia, Volume 10, and this is Oregon. Of all the holy people in the scriptures, no one is recorded to have kept a feast or held a great banquet on his birthday. It is only sinners, like the Pharaoh and Herod, who make great rejoicings over the day in which they were born into this world below. So in regards to church history, actually, the old church fathers in the Catholic Church in the early stages, they didn't celebrate birthdays at all. They thought the birthdays itself came from pagan origin. And you can actually see that with the Huffington Post because it did. It came from the Egyptians. But their quote was, it came from sinners. Here's another example. The writings of the late 3rd century Catholic theologian Arnobius show that even that late Catholics objected to the celebration of birthdays, as he wrote, "You worship with couches, altars, temples, and other service, and by celebrating their games and birthdays, those whom it was fitting that you should assail with keenest hatred." And then it says, thus birthday celebrations, even of gods and leaders, were condemned as far as the late 3rd century, even by Roman Catholic leaders. So overview of Genesis 40. The cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt committed an offense and were placed in jail with Joseph.